Now move on to AEW. So we'll talk quickly about this. So AEW Dynamite, just very quickly. So just kind of run down the key matches. We had Hangman Page and the Dark Order losing in the 5-on-5 elimination match, basically a Survivor Series match against the Elite. That was Omega, the Young Bucks, and the Good Brothers. So the rumor plan was obviously going to be Hangman Page versus Kenny Omega. That was clearly going to be in the main event. But rumors are going around that now that those plans have changed, that Heyman is no longer going to be challenging Omega for the World Heavyweight Championship. And this is what this match was supposed to be. Because if Heyman won, he would have gotten the world title match. But because he lost, he didn't. Now, there is still time, so maybe those are just rumors, and maybe they decide to do Heyman and Omega after all. At all out. It's still possible. There's still time. But the rumors are reporting that Heyman is not going to go all out. And of course, there are rumors that, Heyman's wife she is legit pregnant and she could be having her kid anytime now. So maybe Heyman wants to be there for his wife and their kid to be born. Maybe that has something to do with it. I have no idea. But the rumor is Heyman's not going to be fighting Omega. So, if these rumors are true and Heyman is not going to fight at All Out, there's two obvious choices. Well, one, that are two names that should be predictable. That's Bryan Danielson and CM Punk. Now, it's just rumors about Punk at this point. I believe more Bryan Danielson to be coming in. Punk, they are heavily teasing it. And the more and more they're teasing it, I am kind of getting an itch back like he's going to come back. But I really don't want to be disappointed. I really don't want to be like, oh, Punk is here and Punk's coming back and he doesn't show up. I've been burned so many times. I don't want to have that feeling again. So, let's just say Punk and Bryan are coming in. Doing one of those guys against Omega at All Out would be a big draw match. It'd be big pay-per-views. Get some big pay-per-view buys. A lot of people, those buildings will sell out. But here are a few problems. Especially when it comes to CM Punk. If you do Bryan and Omega, Bryan should not be losing. Well, here's the thing. First of all, both of them should not be losing in their debut matches. Let's just be honest. Bryan should not be losing in his first pay-per-view match, and neither should Punk. Plus, there's a ranking system, and those things, it's just having them jump line the ranking system would be dumb. Plus, with two former WWE guys going after world title almost immediately, you'll get those fans say, oh, that's some bullshit, look at that. WWE guys just coming in and getting title shots, because those people exist. They can't let that go. But here's a problem. And this is meant going on Punk. Let's say you do Punk and Omega. It's a big match. It's a big money match. If Punk loses, do I even need to explain that? Punk losing is bad. That'll be his pay-per-view or debut match. He loses. He should not be losing his debut match. This is his first match back. He needs to get a big win. Especially if his hometown is Chicago, he needs a win. But the problem is, Omega should not be losing either. Because the only person that should beat Omega for that title belt is Hangman Page. No one else. Now, if Omega was not the world champion and it was just a special singles match between Punk and Omega, then, oh yeah, Punk will win and that's fine. Same thing goes with Daniel Bryan or Bryan Danielson. Even though on paper those are bigger marquee matches, you shouldn't want those matches because that means someone's got to lose. If Omega loses, that kills the story with him and Hangman Page. Because there's a story right there. It's perfect. But you don't want to have Bryan or Punk lose, not yet anyway, because they just got here. They're big names. They're two of the biggest free agents in the world right now. They get signed, and having them both lose in their matches is just, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. Now, from what it looks like, they could be doing Punk and Darby Allin. That'd be fine. There's no titles on the line. Darby could take a loss. It's not going to hurt him, and Punk gets a big victory. I think doing something like that is fine. Bryan coming in, having like a tag team match or having a singles match, maybe at one of the Dynamites or Rampage or something, a special singles match is fine. Nothing wrong with that. But here's why I'm suggesting, and people are going to groan. They're going to be questioning what I'm about to say, thinking I'm just being a mark for this guy because he's my favorite wrestler of all time. But I'm thinking more clearly than a lot of people probably are thinking. I would honestly, if you're not going to do Hangman Page, let's just suggest Hangman Page is not going to fight Omega all out. But you need to give Omega an opponent, a fresh opponent, a big name that could still have a pretty damn good match, but it's still a victory nonetheless for Omega to lead to Heyman. But you can, that way you're not hurting Punk or Bryan or anybody else. That man's Christian Cage. Remember, they teased doing this match a few months ago on TV. They teased that those two would meet in the ring someday. Why not? Christian's undefeated, yes. Yes, he's a former other guy, but here's the thing. The guy's undefeated. The guy, I think, is probably number 2, number 1 right now in the ranking system by this point. He's undefeated. It's a fresh match we've never seen. It's still a big match to do. Yes, it's not going to be bigger than Punk and Omega or Bryan and Omega. But Christian can lose. No, he's had this winning streak for a while. And if he loses, it's not going to hurt Christian at all. He'll be fine. Christian's not going to be there to win every single match. And that's not what Christian's going to be there for. He's there to help, be the veteran, to help the younger guys get over, to work with the newer talent, to give them advice. That's what Christian's goal is. Christian Omega is still a big match. It's just not the big money match you've been wanting. And then let's be honest. If this is true, if Punk's going to come in before All Out, you know the minute Punk is there, people are going to be all over Punk anyway. Punk and Darby Allin could be in the middle of the show, and people are going to care about is Punk. The world title match at that point is not going to really mean a whole lot. But that doesn't mean you can't try and just put on a really good match and try and just do something fresh and have Christian get involved. Just have Christian versus Omega. If Heyman is not ready, or if you don't think it's the right time to do Heyman and Omega, then do it Full Gear. Or you don't even have to do it at pay-per-view. You always do it at that New York show in a few weeks. Maybe you want to do it at that show, have Hangman Page Omega there on a big TV Dynamite like that. But then again, you can always have them meet at Full Gear and build up more. But I don't see what the problem is with putting Christian in there. He's a guy that could go out there and have a great match with Omega. They could tear the roof off. It's still a great main event spot. But at the same time, it's not going to be, like Hangman Page going there and being overshadowed by Punk if he's coming in at that time. And like I said, the man Punk gets advertised, if he gets advertised for All Out, that guy is going to be the reason why people order this pay-per-view. That will be the number 1 draw for All Out, would be for Punk. Know that to be a fact. That's how big of a deal this is. I mean, look at this. They're already having their United Center in Chicago. They just announced that for, I think, their second or third edition of Rampage. It's going to be in Chicago, the United Air Center, which is this giant arena that can hold 20,000 people. Nearly half the tickets are already sold, and no matches have been announced. But because of the constant teases of Punk, have gotten the fans excited. Now a match of Punk actually is announced. That place will sell out or come very close. All Out, the tickets are almost already sold out anyway. But as soon as Punk's on that card, the rest of the tickets will be gone, and pay-per-view buys will go up. Because people would want to watch that pay-per-view mainly for Punk. So the whole focus will be more on Punk anyway. No, that doesn't mean you can't do Heyman and Omega. That doesn't mean the fans will not care about that. But like I said, if Heyman's not ready, or if there's slight change of plans, then don't do it. Just do Omega and Christian. Because having Omega versus Punk or Bryan, Punk and Bryan have to win that match. They should not be losing. But the problem is, Omega shouldn't be losing either. So it's a lose-lose situation. Business-wise, it's smart. But story-wise and moving forward makes absolutely zero sense. Hold off Bryan for a little bit longer. Have Punk make his in-ring return at All Out. Have him be promoted on a couple Dynamites if he's showing up. Build up his match with Darby Allin. Darby Allin's the one that kind of basically almost called him out, basically saying that this is the place where you go to prove you're the best. If you think you're the best in the world. And the crowd was chanting Punk's name. Darby Allin and CM Punk, I think, would be a great match. And it's a good starter match for Punk to make his in-ring return and to get rid of some of that ring rust. You do that match, it's going to be a big deal. And Punk can get a win, it's not going to hurt Darby. Because Darby's been known as this underdog, almost similar like a Jeff Hardy. So Punk and Darby Allin would be fine. You could still do Christian and Omega in the main event. And you could still put a few other big-time matches on there. Again, just having Punk in there alone is going to get TV buys. I don't see anything wrong with that. But hey, look. If you don't want to do Christian and Omega, then you can always do... There is this other possibility, which a lot of people have not talked about. That's Eddie Kingston. Eddie Kingston has had some problems with the club before. You know, Kingston still wants payback for probably what they did to his friend Moxley. Want to have Eddie Kingston versus Omega? You know, fans love Eddie. Do Eddie Kingston and Omega. I think that could be a very different, a unique match. Two different styles. But I say Christian because I think Christian could definitely hold his own against someone like Omega in terms of in-ring wise. And I think it would be a better match. But I'm thinking of the bigger picture here. I'm not just saying it's because I'm a big Christian fan and I want to just see that match. I do want to see a match, but I'm also thinking bigger picture here that Punk and Bryan should not be main eventing and fighting Omega for a world title this soon, because that would mean they'll have to win. And none of them should be beating Omega. No one should beat Omega. Only one person, and that's Hangman Page. And if the company is not ready for Hangman Page to walk away with that title yet, at least at All Out, then postpone it. Find a suitable replacement for Omega, and let it be Christian. And then, like I said, for Punk, you can have him fight a special singles match. Like I said, with someone like a Darby Allin. Tell me right now, like, what is the problem with that? Because I see that as a win-win situation. Punk debuts, he wins his match, Omega wins his match, he's still world champion, everybody wins. I don't see what the big deal is. And then you could still eventually do a Punk and Omega match, it just doesn't have to be for the title. You could save that match for maybe Double or Nothing next year. Build that match up. Have Hangman Page, for example, fight MJF for the world title. Have those two young guys go at it. You do Punk and Omega, first time ever, as a special singles match. And by the time that happens, you have Bryan probably already there. And maybe he gets some wins under his belt. Maybe he fights Miro, or he fights somebody else for the TNT Championship, whoever the TNT Champion may be. There's a lot of opportunities and a lot of unique stuff they can do. But that's what I honestly would do.